Hello and welcome to the God of Waffles. Today we're going to be looking at M.E.R.C, which is an action strategy game by Tiny Mob Games. The game is currently in early access and we're looking at version 1.2.2. We're going to cover what's in the game at the moment, and also towards the end we'll look at what I hope to be in the game in the future. In the campaign you make your own mercenary company and rent out your services to other major corporations such as weapons manufacturers, banks and healthcare companies. So it's going to be your job to manage the cash flow, build up and equip some squads, and then fight whenever you're offered some cold hard cash. We're going to start by going to the barracks. Here you can see my soldiers split into Alpha and Bravo squad. I've got 2 assaults, a sniper and an engineer. You get 1-star soldiers who just have access to 1 talent tree, or much more powerful 2-star soldiers who can be dual specialization. For example, in my squad I've got 1 assault member who can also be a battle medic, healing the squad and giving them some useful stimulants. Each class has access to different unique skills that you'll need to combine and utilize to succeed in the missions. Each skill tree is interesting and impactful. It will largely define how your squad handles combat. It also allows for a certain level of customization for soldiers that feels somewhat lacking in other parts of the game. To equip your soldiers, you must either loot gear from combat or access M.E.R.C net. Currently there's not a huge amount of gear in the game. There's a couple of guns for each class and a couple of pieces of armour, and unfortunately there's not a huge amount of customization in this area. You'll soon find that you've got the best armour and the best guns, and there's absolutely no progression beyond there. One area that attempts to redeem this is that each soldier does have talents and flaws, but unfortunately, despite playing all the way through with 1 team of 4, I didn't find myself even knowing the names of my characters or feeling attached to them in any way. Next we'll have a look at the different companies in the game. As you complete quests during the campaign, you'll gain reputation with different corporations. This gives you specific buffs such as increased credit drop from missions, decreased price of weapons, or better healthcare for your team. However, if you choose to neglect corporations or do work that harms them in some ways, these can turn into negative effects, such as increased cost for weapons or less time to repay loans. Here you can see the main mission control map. You get a few different types of missions. You've got your normal story missions, of which currently there are 9 in Act 1. You also get optional missions, which are the little blue ones. These will often gain you reputation with one company, but lose you reputation with others, depending on what the mission is. It is worth noting though, that you only have a certain amount of time to do these optional missions, and if you don't do them, you will lose reputation with the company that gave you that task. Finally, you have sort of side quests, which are the white ones you can see on the map, that are chained together, so you have to do them in a certain order. Each mission can be played on your own with your full squad of 4, or you can do the mission co-op, which I think is where the game really shines, and you just take 2 of your characters, join up with a friend who's also bringing his 2, and split the loot 50-50. This does mean that you will only get 50% of the credits, but you can each take part in each other's missions, so it balances out in the end. At the end of the week, you'll be charged for the amount of soldiers you've currently got on payroll, but beyond buying things on M.E.R.C net, this is really the only use for credits in the game, and makes credits feel somewhat useless at the moment. Once you accept a mission, you'll be whisked away in your very own private luxury flying shed and dropped into enemy territory. This is where most of the gameplay actually takes place. You'll take control of your squad, telling them when to move, shoot or use their special abilities. It's all real time for the most part. However, you do have the ability to slow down time for crucial moments, such as landing the perfect grenade, throwing up a barrier around your team, or healing a critically injured teammate. The combat mostly relies on utilising your surroundings, such as using objects for cover, or surprising your enemies by shooting one of their precariously placed exploding barrels. The combat can be a little challenging at first, but as you get the better weapons, I find that the hardest thing is just dealing with the camera. There's some stages where you go indoors and it is just really hard to just see anything, or even just control your units and tell them to target enemies. The levels look absolutely stunning, but they can often be quite maze-like. There's nothing beyond the little mini-map in the corner to help you find your way, so when you've just got a little objective pointing you in a certain direction, you can sometimes loop all the way around fine you've gone the wrong way and have to loop all the way back. I did enjoy the combat in the game. The characters move really well, and it's really satisfying to just unload all 4 of your guys just into an out position enemy. But unfortunately there's only really a couple types of enemies in the game at the moment, and they're all just humans. You just get classic machine gun guys, you get a couple of snipers, and the odd guy will throw a grenade or shoot a bazooka. I was kind of hoping to see some sort of boss character or anything like that, especially as Act 1 comes to an end. To summarise then, I think it's a really solid start to a game. The combat's reasonable, but I think it's the skill trees and the unique abilities that really make it fun. I'd love to see a lot more character customization in the future, from simple things such as different characters, to different armors and guns where I actually have to make choices and sacrifices to get them. Currently you just buy the most expensive one on M.E.R.C, and that is just the best. Even silly things like being able to colour my characters, things like that let me really connect with the characters, which is definitely something this game is lacking. I'd also like to see some more uses for money. I've really amassed money quite quickly in the current build, and then there was really nothing to spend on. They've got quite a decent and big premise with you owning a company. There's a lot of different things you could do around that would give you a reason to spend money, such as just buying property, or just investing in the major corporations that you're supporting for other additional benefits. I look forward to seeing what they do with the story in the future, and I hope that with the new chapters it gives them a chance to add a lot more enemies. I know in the lore for the game it talks about these giant mutant rats, and I thought, holy shit, that sounds terrifying to fight, but I didn't encounter them yet. This would tie in really nicely with the need for more in-depth gear. For example, if you encountered a tank later on, maybe you'd need some sort of armor penetrating bullets, or you'd have to rely on your soldiers actually having spec'd into grenades. These are just some of my ideas, but I think they've got a solid base, and now it just depends on where they take it. It seems like quite a cool development team. One thing they've implemented already is Twitch integration that lets you name either your enemies or your recruits after your Twitch viewers or subscribers. If you're interested in this game, the link is in the description below. If you want to see more of this game, me and Jackie did record our co-op playthrough. I will also put the link for that in the description. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe.